What is up, Utah fans? This is Joseph back with the Utah Utes Football Digest. Utah is off to a 4-1 start, which, if you knew at the beginning of the season, we still wouldn't have Cam Rising, we still wouldn't have Brant Keithy. We'd be dealing with a slew of injuries that's just insanely high, right? It's crippling. We're 4-1 though. If you knew that at the beginning of the year that we'd have to deal with all that, would you have guessed we'd be 4-1? Look on the bright side, guys. We've done a lot with what we have right now. Yeah, would I like the offense to be moving better? Yeah. Did I expect the defense would play at such an elite level? No. Not like this. This is pretty damn impressive. But today we're going to talk about is who are the top 5 guys at the bye. So through the first 5 games Utah has played, who are the top 5 most impressive guys that are the main reasons we're winning games? I'm excited to break it down with you guys. Please make sure you guys drop the video a like. That'll help get it out to more Utah fans. Also, please comment down below, who are your top 5? Who do you think the top 5 guys are that are contributing to us winning these games? And if you would and you appreciate the content, subscribe to the channel. That way you always know what's going on. Even on this freaking bye week, we're putting out a friggin' Utah football video every damn day. Where else are you getting that? Well, there's other places that do it, but I don't think they do it quite to the level we do it. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and share the video with someone if you love the channel. It goes a long way. Let's dive in. Let's talk about the top 5 players for the Utah football team so far this season. All right, guys, and coming in at number 5 for Utah in the season for the top 5 most important players at the bye, we have Sione Vaki. Sione Vaki has been a stud this year. And if you look at the grades here, according to PFF, what I love is there's no bad games. There's 2 below average games in Oregon State and UCLA, but he's also playing a little out of position in those games, and they're not bad grades. They're not as good as he usually does, but these aren't bad grades, and you got to love that. So taking a look at Sione Vaki here, throughout the entire season, his tackling looks elite. Run defense, pretty good almost every game. Some good pass rush games. The guy's a really good player for Utah. Really good player. I've been super impressed with him. He's got 4 pressures on the year. Let's pull this over here. 4 pressures on the year. You can see it right here. And then also he's got 21 tackles. And on those 21 tackles, so PFF doesn't track the specific stat of tackle for loss, but they track this stat that's called a stop. And a stop, according to them, is a failure for the offense. So on his 21 tackles, 10 of them are stops. So that is either a stop right at the line or a stop behind the line, which for a safety to have 10 stops is really impressive and just kind of shows you the kind of high-end contributor that Sione Vaki is. He's been an awesome player for Utah so far this year. He's also got an interception. You can see it over here on the season. And he's playing all over. Like I said, in the most recent games, he's up in the box a lot, a little less at free safety than normal. And then he really versatile playing in the slot against UCLA. So you got to love what you're seeing here. Sione Vaki, a straight stud for Utah, and a guy that I expect as the season continues to just get better and better and establish himself as one of the best players on this defense and be going into next season looking as like a high-end draft pick sort of guy. That's what I'm expecting of Sione Vaki. All right, guys, and coming in at number 4 for the top 5 best players for Utah at the bye, we've got Cole Bishop. If you guys have been watching Utah football for any amount of time, you know who Cole Bishop is. He's a stud, he's a playmaker, and he's one of the best players on this team. And it's been showing out through the first 5 weeks for Utah football. So you take a look at the guy here, playing a ton of snaps in every game, already 288 snaps in the season. One really cool thing about Cole, and just so you guys know, Cole and Vaki were really close for me. It took me a while to decide who to put at 5 and who to put at 4. So if you disagree with the order, I wouldn't be surprised. These guys were really close for me. So we take a look here. One really cool thing is Cole Bishop is he's a safety, right? And he's only had 22 pass rushing snaps. But on those 22 pass rushing snaps, he has 6 pressures. 2 of those pressures are a sack. 2, he's hitting the quarterback, and 2, he's hurrying the quarterback and forcing him to throw early. Super impressive and a really well-rounded guy we got here in Cole Bishop. Now, where there could be a case for Vaki to be above him is the missed tackle department. Cole's only made 20, and he has missed 4 tackles. Not great in the missed tackle percentage. So is what it is there. But Cole Bishop looks like he's going to be a playmaker all year. And was another number that I thought was really impressive for Cole was stops. And don't forget, like I said for Vaki, that means it's at or behind the line. It technically is counted as a failure for the offense. So it's right at the line or it's behind the line. So I look at it as a tackle for loss, like 3/4 of a tackle for loss, right? Like a pretty cool number to look at. But a really good stat for Cole Bishop, 12 stops. So that means every game he's getting a little over 2 stops a game. A little over 2 stops a game. So really impressive, Cole Bishop. Straight stud, 2 interceptions on the year as well. You can see that here. A guy that I think is going to be a beast. I think the NFL is probably already looking at drafting Cole Bishop, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does get drafted fairly early. He's a really good player and a guy that is really holding this defense together. Like I mentioned with Vaki, you take a look, guys, they're putting these guys a lot in the box to help out with the run. That puts them a little bit out of position, even though I think Cole Bishop thrives in the box a little bit. But I think they've done a lot of like drop back free safety. And I think as we get towards the Washingtons, USCs, Colorados, we're going to see more of that from these guys. So that's Cole Bishop, number 4 on the best players for Utah at the bye. All right, guys. And coming in at number 3, we have Lander Barton. Lander Barton's played 290 snaps on the year. Clearly one of the best players on this team, if you've been paying attention at all. I've been super impressed with him, and I think he's going to continue to develop into an amazing player. I think it's just up and up and up and better from here for Lander Barton. You take a look here. The guy's got 7 pressures on the year, and that's on 42 pass rush snaps. So not a crazy high number of pass rush snaps, but he's got 7 pressures. Really good there. 3 of those are quarterback hits, and 4 of those are quarterback hurries. Really good to see there. And then on here, tackling, we've got 12 tackles for Lander Barton. Really good there. 10 of those are going to be the stops that we were talking about earlier. So he's making stops. And the reason Lander Barton edged out the 2 safeties for me, because the numbers don't show that he should edge them out, but the forced fumbles, the 2 forced fumbles are a big deal, right? He also had the interception return for a touchdown that was a big deal. But for me, it's that he has a couple not so great grades in here, but it's 2 elite grades. And who knows, with a grade like an 84 against UCLA, how much Lander Barton contributed to us winning that game. Seriously, when guys show out in close games like that, it really makes a difference. Obviously, we would have beat Weber State either way, but a 94.8, that's pretty damn impressive. I think it's just showing you that when he's needed, he can contribute at a really, really high rate. That's Lander Barton, straight beast, and a guy that I expect to keep growing and be. He's a guy that we could be talking first-round pick if he develops into what his potential could be. So that's Lander Barton there, number 3 on the top 5 best players at the bye for Utah. All right, guys, and at number 2 on the top 5 best players for Utah this season list at the bye, we have Kareem Reed. Kareem Reed, no bad games so far. Obviously, has not played quite as many snaps due to injury, but when he's been in, he has been awesome. He's played some middle linebacker. He's played some will linebacker. Pretty versatile guy. Not a ton of pressures for him on the year. Not a ton of stops either, but don't forget, he has not played the same number of snaps as some of these guys. He's got a pass breakup. He's got an interception. But if you guys are watching and you're watching Kareem Reed in these games, you guys see him. He's flying around. He's hitting. He's making stops, and he's not making a lot of mistakes. And the truth is, mistake-free football is great football, right? And he seems physical. He seems dominant. and he seems like a guy that is really tough for opposing offenses. And one of my favorite numbers on this list when I talk about mistake-free football is that he has no missed tackles. And considering the running offenses that we've played so far, you got to be really excited about that. Really excited about what he's doing here. So really good numbers for Kareem Reed. That's why he comes in at number 2. He's a guy that I think is being looked at as a big time prospect moving forward. And he's been one of the highest graded linebackers on PFF. So is Lander Barton. They're both in the top 40 right now. And it's against, if you guys have been watching the channel, we played the 12th toughest schedule so far. So they're grading in the top 40 with the 12th toughest schedule. So that's really awesome. So that's Kareem Reed, and he is going to be the number 2 player on the top 5 players at the buy list. All right, guys. And before I break down the number 1 player for the top 5 players at the buy list for Utah, I'm sure a lot of you guys already know who it is, considering he's not on the list yet, and he's been ridiculously good this year. Please make sure you guys like the video before we drop in for the last guy. Also, comment down below. Do you guys agree with my list? What does your list look like? Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share the video with someone. And without further delay, let's go ahead and talk about the number 1 guy for Utah football so far this year. All right, guys. The number 1 player for Utah so far this year at the bye is Jonah Ellis. Jonah Ellis has been a straight stud. You look at the list of games here, there's not one bad grade. Every single game is a 70+ grade. And one of those games against UCLA is a 90.9 grade. But even more impressive is this number right here, guys. Jonah Ellis has 20 pressures on the year. That is a crazy number. A pressure is a super important stat when it comes to getting in the quarterback. So it means you're creating havoc for the quarterback somehow. And of those 20 pressures, 7 are sacks. So this guy is getting back there and causing havoc. He's getting a pressure on, like 7% or so of his plays. I'm not sure the exact number. More. It actually, like 7% of his plays. Let's just see what that number is. 20 divided by 287. So he's got 6.9% of the plays that Jonah Ellis is in there is a pressure by him. And when you consider that only 160 of those plays have been pass rushing plays. So you take that 20 pressures divided by 160, 12.5% of Jonah Ellis's plays against the pass are pressures. That is crazy. And that's 7 sacks on 20 pressures and 13 hurries. No quarterback hits, kind of weird, but 13 hurries on 20 pressures. The guy gets back there, he causes havoc, and he disrupts opposing offenses. And if you guys aren't already aware, he is the number 1 guy on this defense this year, and he is just looking amazing, dude. He looks awesome. On top of that, we got 20 stops for Jonah Ellis. Those are failure plays for the offense. On top of that, and think about that, on running plays, dude, there's only been 118. So 118 rushing plays against this defense, and while he's on the field, and he's gotten 20 stops on that. That's crazy. Guys, what we're witnessing right now with Jonah Ellis, on top of everything I just said, he's leading the country in sacks with 7.5 sacks. I know there's a ton of information being thrown at you, and that PFF says 7, but the number that ESPN has is 7.5, and he leads the country in sacks. He's an animal. We're witnessing a special year. Jonah Ellis's season has really gone under the radar, guys. Straight up. He is having a special season, and I'm all about it, dude. What I love, when you guys look at the pictures of this guy, he looks like such a nice young kid. Like, you would not guess this is the guy leading the country in sacks. And on top of that, grading out like an animal and tons of run stuffs. The guy is awesome. We should be super grateful we have him. I like to look at him as a wolf in sheep's clothing, right? He's just a straight marauder on the defensive line, dude. And he looks like the nicest guy. He is a beast. So make sure you guys watch Jonah Ellis in the upcoming games. He's going to be a superstar this year for Utah. He already is. I mean, he's almost at 10 sacks on the year already, and we're 5 games in. If you guys are big Utah Jonah Ellis fans, like the video. Comment down below, guys, if you agree with the list or not. Subscribe to the channel. Share the video. I'm out of here. Go Utes.